welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we are checking out a Teysa Karlov deck. This is a fun little number. I have a really good time playing it. Doubling your death triggers with Teysa is the main point of the deck. Whenever a creature dies, you get a double trigger. So Midnight Reaper would draw 2 cards. Ministrant of Obligation with Afterlife 2 would create not 2 1/1s, but 4. Tithe Taker with Afterlife 1 would create 2 1/1s. Hunted Witness would create 2 1/1s if they died with Teysa on the battlefield. So that's the main thing we're going for in the deck, which is why we have so many Afterlife creatures. And another really good card with, once you have Teysa and you want your creatures to die, is a way to sacrifice them. And the best one I know is Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Sacrifice 2 other creatures, 2 life, and the opponent has to sacrifice a creature, and you draw a card, and you get 2 mana. It's a heck of a payoff for sacrificing 2 creatures, and this deck has a lot of creatures to sacrifice. There's also Divine Visitation. The way that works is if a creature with Afterlife dies, you get an angel. If Tessa's on the battlefield and a creature with Afterlife dies, you get 2 angels. So you can see the madness. The way that we manage our opponent's permanents is with Conclave Tribunal, and we have a Revival Revenge, not really to ever cast the Revenge, but to revive our Priest of the Forgotten Gods and make it so we have one on the battlefield more often. In the mana base, I have 2 Memorial to Glories and 2 Memorial to Follies, usually getting back Priest, and that is to keep from flooding out too hard. We got some utility out of our lands. Memorial to Glory, making 2 1/1s to go with Priest isn't the greatest. It's kind of 1 more activation, which can be important. But making a pair of angels if you have a Divine Visitation is pretty great. All right, now we've talked about the deck. Let's go see how it plays. This hand is slow. It is on the draw. It could absolutely get run over by red. It's also a basic land away from being fine. So I'm going to gamble 2 draw steps to a basic land. All right, we got one. So we can lead with Glory. It's even the one we wanted in a swamp. The Plains would have been a bit more awkward, but this lets us turn to Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Now, is our opponent on Phoenix or Mono Blue? Both are very tough matchups. But if our opponent's on Mono Blue, Priest of the Forgotten Gods is an absolute game changer in that matchup, where their idea of sticking 1 big creature becomes very difficult. Aviation Pioneer. Well, that's different and not what I expected. So I don't have a way to get 2 creatures on the battlefield right away. I played this last turn primarily to get it under counter magic. So with counter magic in mind, do I want to play the Reaper or the Tithe Taker? I think that resolving the Reaper also would be a pretty big play, so that's where I'm going to go for now. It's also more mana efficient. Next turn, if our opponent does tap out, we can play Teysa. Water not on the Reaper is fine, since our plan is probably to sacrifice it at some point anyway. Alright. Our opponent's tapped low again, so I'm comfortable going for this card. But I'm not ready to sacrifice for it yet. I don't want to give up my Reaper or the Teysa herself. But we're in a spot where everything that dies draws me 2 cards. And if I resolve either one of these creatures, it draws me 2 tokens. Wow. Not what I expected, but that's a very early sleep from our opponent. So that they can get him for 2. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Divine Visitation off the top. If any of these get onto the battlefield, it's going to get crazy. There's a Sky Scanner. I think our opponent is pretty close to a pre-con mono blue, which I hope they watch my Adventures of Young CGB. I'll show them the right way to build that pre-con mono blue and what to craft. But for today, they are my opponent. And I must slaughter them mercilessly, which I am about to do. Target you. Submit. We could do this at instant speed, but I want to use the mana from the Priest and just observe. It doesn't even all fit in one spot. This is absolutely disgusting. absolutely crazy. All right, one more card because I didn't draw enough. So I guess I'll play Second Priest. Nah, I don't have that many things to sacrifice. I'll play the Ministrant of Obligation. So I have another thing to sacrifice next turn. Not that I'll need it. And there's nothing I wish to tribunal here. And yeah, that escalated quickly. I'm sorry, Endos. I'm sorry. I had to bring this beating. Well, Endos crafted those Tempest Gens, so Endos knows what's up. They're on their way to the mono blue world, and we'll see them at the finish line. But for today, the beating is real. Wow, I can even crack the Memorial to make 2 angels? Like, this is so insane. Let's take away a blocker first. Give you 2 up. I don't want to draw too many cards. I could die from it after all. Make the mana. We'll use it to play another Tithe Taker. So, reduces what the opponent can do. We can use the other mana to play another Ministrant of Obligation. And a Seraph of the Scales is fine. And we can play Conclave Tribunal. Somewhere over here is an angel with Summoning Sickness. Oh, there's another one. And take this away. And everybody in. This should be lethal. Holy crap. Remember, tokens also gain lifelink with Teysa, so all those angels have lifelink as well. We're on the draw again, and we have Enforcer into Obligation, possibly into Seraph. It's okay. It might be too slow, and it might just lose to Runaway Steamkin. Might also just lose to Curious Obsession on a flyer, but I think it's worth a try. I'm ready for my Thought Erasure now, because I drew a second Seraph of the Scales. Okay, as Kanta. Not a card I can do a lot about unless I draw Conclave Tribunal. And our beatdown is very modest, so we're really hoping our opponent is not on Cry of the Canarium, although that card is picked up tremendously recently, so that's not a good sign. But I'm still just going to play out and try to be the beatdown. We're not a good deck against control by any stretch of the imagination. There's not too much we can do. Okay. Our opponent's hand might be a bit awkward, seeing that we do a turn 3 thought Erasure and missing a land drop. Our opponent kept on top, though, which implies that they have at least something that they need to get back in the game. Like I said, we're just going to beat down. This is probably going to be over quickly, one way or another. Yep, like I said, that card is absolutely brutal to us. You know what else is brutal? Drawing too many land. None of them are the Memorials either, which can help us be a little bit grindier. It's just pretty bad news so far. But the opponent's saying go. I'm not playing around to settle the wreckage, if that's what you're wondering. I could do Vigilance to play around Seal Away, but that's not in hardly any Esper lists at the moment. I could play the Conclave Tribunal. So I don't think I will, and this is why. If our opponent is sitting on Absorb, they want to fill their graveyard and they want the life. I may as well wait. And if they don't have Chemister's Insight, which they would have played right there, but apparently don't have, it also would have held priority, so we could have anticipated it, then they don't get to make any progress there. Sure. Kaya's Wrath with 2 mana open. What is this? Moment of Craving? It's possibly a negate. Well, let's get him. Where are you at? 4 cards? Man, a Memorial to Glory. If we had drawn a Memorial to Glory, it would have been lethal, potentially. the opponent sweeps us again. Can we just get there with awkward beats? Nope. Kaya's Wrath is there. Okay, that's our plan. This is on 6. It might flip, but we still got a shot here. If we play and absorb, our opponent gains life, and then I don't know if we can possibly win. Wow. This flood has been crazy. There's the absorb. They're going to need to have instant speed removal for the Memorial to Glory. And they find Teferi. They don't play it though. Which, if they had to dig like one more time for a Moment of Craving or something, I think they would. So I'm guessing they have something. Maybe not though. Get in there. Wow. I didn't think we had a shot there. I thought we were dead. This is a very slow hand on the draw. Like, unnaturally slow. I think I have to mulligan it. Yeah. There's just no way I can keep this, right? It does nothing. It's our third game on the draw, and this is the most awkward hand so far, so... We're lucky to have won anything so far. I feel like I should bottom this because I can't be sure I'll draw the land for it, even though it is something I'd want. It's not the most powerful in the deck card in the deck by any means. Alright. If this is more Esper control... God, I hate it. I hate it so much. But I like it when I'm on the other side of it. Esper is just so frustrating to deal with. And I usually don't play that much of it. I don't think I played against... I think I maybe played Esper once in my entire stream yesterday. That was all constructed events. Playing it twice in a row with a deck that, in my opinion, has a very weak matchup to it is very tilting. Wow. Okay, but it's another mana screwed Esper, but this time I have no pressure. So, like, a Seraph of the Scales is much needed here. I'm going to take that out now because my opponent missed their land drop. That's why we're doing it the way that we're doing it. Alright, I would like to attack you with this Orzhov Enforcer. So, I'm going to go for the Midnight Reaper. I could play around a Syncopate, but they're not in most of the Esper decks these days. I think it makes sense to do so, though. We can play around it, why not? It's not like the Memorial to Glory is going to do much. The only way we get punished is if we top deck Divine Visitation exactly. This hesitation on the stack does imply it's a Syncopate, too. And there's Moment of Craving. So at least we get a card out of the deal. Another Enforcer. Yeah, the hesitation on the stack could have been for the moment itself, so it doesn't need to be a Syncopate. Ah, land off the top. Holding up Absorb, I guess. So let's get in there. Does the opponent want to counter an Orzhov Enforcer? If they want to use an Absorb here, that's okay. That's what I thought. Oh, I see. We're mortifying to get back Iskanta. Yeah, that's a thing you can do. Our opponent did play the Iskanta into known double Tribunal, which certainly implies that they had something to do about it. Let's try a Tithe Taker. See if we can disrupt our opponent's mana. Keep them from Chemister's inciting. It puts them in a little bit of a tough spot with a Conclave Tribunal here. And they did not incite. That tells me that they have a counter. So let's get in there. What are you? 4 cards in graveyard? So we could let them use the counter here or make them sit on it. And I think making them sit on it is fine. Alright. So, Moment of Craving for the Tithe Taker. So this opponent, unlike the last one, has plenty of cheap removal, which is what the last opponent was missing in their draw. And we've got a long way to go to beat them down. Without a Seraph of the Scales that we were able to sneak out there. Teysa, not the greatest, but we can try it. Very likely to get absorbed, though. But if it does get absorbed, at least we can Tribunal the Iskanta, which is a card our opponent knows about. And it makes Kaya's Wrath very awkward. Alright, that enters the battlefield. Let's keep the creatures going in. Because I don't want our opponent to get a free Chemister's Insight here, I'm going to go for the Tribunal as well. This might be the Absorb, but if so, so be it. We have to get through it somehow. And the Iskanta is about to flip anyway. The bad news is that a flipped Iskanta will win the opponent the game. The good news is that it's very mana intensive and takes a while to do it. So now we have to sort of tempo them out and hope that they're on Kaya's Wrath and not Cry of the Canarium. Man, I just shake my head. I draw all these land in these matchups. It's so frustrating. Okay, there's Vraska's Contempt. As well play it. You never know when you might need it for something. Alright, pass. Let's activate the Memorial. Just try to keep the pressure up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable floods. 2 games in a row against Esper. Alright, this time I am going to hold, and the purpose of this hold is I already established last turn to my opponent that I'm going to play out my lands. If I hold it, they might think there's something worth Thought Erasing, and they might spend their mana Thought Erasing this card. At least that's what we hope for. There's a Syncopate, though. That's another good reason to play my lands out. But our opponent's way behind on land, so that's not a good pull. What can I say? What can I say? Right, drop you to 7. Hope for the best. Opponent's looking for the answers. If they're sitting on Teferis, I would have cast them by now, I think. Okay, it's another bad one. It's not what they need. If we get another hit in here, the opponent's in big trouble because Akaya's Wrath won't save them. And that is where we're at. Alright, I have to keep on playing out my spells. No, wait. I don't want to play my spell because of Absorb. So we're going to pass the turn. Absorb is a really good reason not to play something here. Alright. They whiffed. Their Iskanta whiffed. It must have hit all land since they've only drawn 4 in the whole game. Unbelievable. Well, I complain about my luck, and usually Mana Screw beats Mana Flood because eventually they find their lands, but maybe not today. Unbelievable. Like, if I pull off these 2 games in a row, it's just insane. Kaya.
I like a good fight.
I
Notice
mean...
it didn't say fair. You can rest in peace. Just do it somewhere else.
So this is a Moment of Craving, and you're hoping that I don't attack... Okay, so if I attack the opponent, I go to 1 because of Moment of Craving. So let's play the Teysa so that we get double tokens if the Enforcer dies. It's not over. We have to all attack you. Kaya can gain back... By the way, why are you 2 on opposite sides? What nonsense is this? So Kaya can gain back 2 life next turn. That puts our opponent at 3? And the problem... And this makes 2 tokens. So we need the Witness on the table too so that we still beat Kaya's Wrath. So this way we get 4 tokens in the face of a Kaya's Wrath. And our opponent would be at 3 life because Kaya exiling a creature from our graveyard. Cry of the Canarium is still... it's still game over. But if they had it, they would have played it. So it would have to be a top deck of top decks. And we got there! How did we do it? We are on the draw again. And we've got 2, 3, 4, which is pretty good. So I can keep it. We haven't played a red deck yet. Is now the time when that changes? They brought a Chandra avatar to the party. Llanowar Elves. Alright. Let's see what we're up against. Wildgrowth Walker. Or Zav Enforcer is alright against the Walker. Usually holds it back for a while. So this should get interesting. Oh my god. Our opponent is also a memer. A fellow combo master. Alright, here's my Ministrant. This is where a priest would be really good. I don't feel like we've seen a Priest of the Forgotten Gods in a while. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. Might as well. I guess I could have waited a turn to see if the Teysa was answered. Because Teysa double death benefits would probably be worth it, but let's go ahead and get her out there. And get in there with some lifelinky flying. This is going to be an interesting little battle. I think the real question is how much removal our opponent uses to go with this Path of Discovery plan. Did they cut removal for the paths, thinking they could out-life gain us? Vivian Reed. That's a pretty frustrating card to play against. And not attacking. Alright. Well, I suppose this is good. If I put out the Seraph here, the Vivian can shoot it down, but that's probably true anyway. Plus it would make 4 tokens, so this is a good time as any to get the Seraph on the battlefield. And I'm going to keep the Ministrant back to turn into a whole bunch of flyers if the opponent dares attack me. We don't have enough attackers to kill Vivian unless this dies, so that's a problem.
How this thing goes is
wow.
Draw and fire.
Okay. Cool. I wonder if the opponent saw that coming. Uh-huh. I could block like this. I could also just take some damage because I'm gaining a ton of life and block like this, and that kills one of the Wildgrowth Walkers. I guess I love that. But then the opponent doesn't have to assign the damage to the Ministrant, which is a bit of a problem. We could also block like this and put a few tokens in front of the Walker, just to get it dead. And if we're going to do that, we may as well put all the tokens in front of the Walker to gain all the life that we can. So let's do that. So 1 Walker down, and then we reload. Wow, another one. All right. So we want Teysa over here, you over here, you over here, and the rest of you with your Vigilance awesomeness over here. And we'll see what the opponent's got in store for us. They might be a Find Finality type shenanigans.
Every defeat is a new beginning.
So let's play this land. Let's play other Seraph. If our opponent's going to Find Finality, let's get a whole bunch of creatures out of it. We could also do something less mana efficient and play these two and keep Seraph in the bank. I guess keeping Seraph in the bank is fine. This way, if the opponent drops a Finality, we have a nice little army to replace the one that we already have. Another Vivian raid? Oh boy. And bins it. Our opponent doesn't like seeing planeswalkers die. Some people can't handle the emotional toll it takes. Well, that can get the Path of Discovery. That's a big deal. So, I think that it's more important to get the Path of Discovery than the Wild Growth Walker, which we can chump block for days. Not you, though. And do we just want to make these tokens? Our opponent's down to 1 card left. Well, I should definitely leave 1 behind. And it should be the one that's the most punishing. So let's do it like this. You know what? Let's just leave both behind. Let's just do the flyers. Just to be safe. Finality is one of the ways that the opponents can wreck us. So do we play out Seraph? I guess so. There's not a lot of downside. And then we take your path out. Especially punishing now that the opponent binned their Vivian Reed. That cuts off the Explorer for every creature you draw. And the double Explorer for the Explorer creatures. The opponent's like, where did it go wrong? I had my Path of Discovery. I had 2 Wild Growth Walkers. My life was beautiful once. Pump fake. Alright. This is definitely a good draw, and we will play it. What I'm going to do first is activate Vigilance on my Seraph of the Scales. So let's spam some scales at our opponent. And get in there. So I could try to end the game quickly, but I like sacrificing these to the priest. So I'm going to continue to keep the bodies here. Wow. Club can't even handle me right now. There's so much animation going on. And there's the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. If that doesn't die. Find Broker. What do you get? Okay. Nope. Didn't mean to pass the turn. Okay, Vivian Reed. Which you can blow up the Tribunal, get back Path of Discovery. But are you dead?
Wild animals I like. People? No one knows.
Our opponent's at 12. This is 10 damage. This is 2 more. So if life isn't gained now... Okay, game's over. As long as I execute... So you here... The squad over here... Get him. Down to 2, which makes Priest of the Forgotten Gods hit him upstairs. Make me more tokens. So much action. And we got him. Alright, we got 4 wins and 0 losses. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. For those of you who say that you want to see the full run, I do understand. However, there is a time issue with that. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I hope to see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment. You can also support the channel on Patreon for special perks. Links are in the description. Our sponsors are HauntedFlower.com and FlipsideGaming.com. Haunted Flower sells officially licensed MTG apparel and accessories, and Flipside Gaming sells MTG cards and supplies. You can save 10% on either site with the promo code CGB, and it supports the channel at the same time. See you next time for another day in the arena. For now, it's me, it's CGB, signing out.